So, have you been keeping an eye on the price of gold in Egypt lately? Because, wow, it's like watching a roller coaster, right? One day it's down, the next it seems to be smashing records. So, what's really going on with the value of this precious metal? Let's break down the numbers and, more importantly, the story behind them.
Okay, let's kick things off with a number that got everyone talking. A drop of 110 Egyptian pounds. And that's for the very popular 21 karat gold, all in a single day. Yeah, that's the kind of dip that definitely makes you sit up and pay attention. But hold on, because here's where the story gets really interesting. If you just zoom out a little from that one-day drop and look at the bigger picture, since the beginning of 2026, gold has actually shot up by a massive 21.6%. We're talking an increase of about 1,270 pounds for every single gram. So, how do you make sense of that? A pretty sharp drop one day, but an incredibly powerful upward trend overall. That's the puzzle we're going to unpack here. Is this just a little blip on the radar and what's otherwise a steady climb for gold? To get to the bottom of this, we've got to look at the hard data. So let's start with a snapshot of the market on March 6th, 2026. This section is all about أسعار اليوم بالتفصيل, which for us just means today's prices in detail. Okay, check this out. It's so helpful to see the whole market laid out so clearly. You've got your per gram prices for the main carats, 24, 21, and 18. But then, look at the bullion prices. You can get a little 5-gram bar for just over 41,000 pounds, or you can go all the way up to a 100-gram bar for over 828,000. It really shows you, doesn't it? Gold operates on so many different levels, from a personal piece of jewelry to a really significant financial investment. All right, so we've seen the what, the prices themselves. But that just brings us to the much bigger question, why? And that leads us right to our next section, which explores the idea of الذهب كملاذ آمن, or gold as a safe haven. This, right here, is the heart of the matter. And you don't just have to take my word for it. Here's a quote from Henny Malad, the head of the gold division. He's basically saying that gold's value is getting more and more tangled up with global events, specifically mentioning things like military tensions between the US and Iran. So when things get uncertain on the world stage, the demand for gold just goes up. And he uses that critical term, safe haven. What does that actually mean? Well, think of it as a financial shelter in a storm. When other investments start to feel risky and the markets get turbulent, a safe haven is where people turn. It's an asset that's expected to hold its value or maybe even grow when everything else is going haywire. And right now, that is the core identity of gold. So we've gone from the day-to-day price swings all the way to the huge global forces that are really driving them. Let's bring it all together and take نظرة للمستقبل, or a look to the future, to really nail down what we should take away from all this. So what's the bottom line here? First, don't get too distracted by the daily noise. That short-term volatility is just part of the game. Second, the bigger picture this year has been one of seriously powerful growth. Third, and this one's crucial, remember that global instability is the engine that's pushing that growth. And finally, it all points to one thing: gold's absolutely essential role as the ultimate safe haven investment. And all of this leaves us with one last big question to think about. In a world that seems to be dealing with constant uncertainty and tension, is gold's ancient role as the ultimate safe haven only going to get stronger? You know, the answer won't just tell us the price of a metal. It might just tell us a whole lot about the state of our world.